Hey, Mobile, we spent $20 million on a cruise terminal with no cruise ship.
The city spent millions to build this terminal, and now we're throwing proms.
Proms, family reunions, cruise ship. Local 15 investigates. Tonight at 10, only on Local 15 News.
Well, the big crowds left about a year ago, but a massive debt still remains. The city still owes about $26 million on an empty Alabama cruise terminal, and it's the citizens who could be stuck with that bill for years to come.
I still have the dream in my heart that it's going to be full of people going down that gangway over there. I know in my heart that we'll get a ship. It's just a matter of time.
A flashback to happier times. It was October of 2004 when the city of Mobile officially joined the international cruise industry. The 727-foot Carnival cruise ship, the Holiday, entered the city's waterways for the very first time. Well, fast forward to 2011, a major economic blow for the city of Mobile. Just 7 years after cruising into the port city, Carnival announced it would sail away for the very last time. The news of Carnival's impending departure came with very little warning.
Well, let me tell you, I found out 3 hours before they made the announcement. It broke my heart. I sit here at my desk and cried.
Here are a few quick facts. In February of 2004, under the leadership of former Mayor Mike Dow, construction work began on a $20 million cruise ship terminal located here at Mobile Landing. In 2008, the city of Mobile borrowed $18.6 million to buy the terminal outright. The following year, the city added to that debt when it bought a $2.6 million gangway to allow for a larger ship to dock there. In all, the city of Mobile still owes $26 million for the terminal, with no cruise ship in sight.
It actually comes now to $5,000 a day. Yes, that's how much it costs to have it empty.
Well, you do the math. $1.8 million, that's the amount the city owes every year to pay back a loan on the cruise terminal. That adds up to about $5,000 a day. At this rate, the city would still be paying off this loan 20 years from now.
The lights are on, the power is being paid every month.
Sheila Gorganis still runs the terminal.
Really, we try to cut corners and keep the bills down.
What do you have to say to those who question why the mayor still has you on the payroll here?
He wants this place to be successful. I still have a job to do, and my job, I feel like, is to get us a ship.
Now we're here inside the cruise terminal, pretty much a ghost town. You know, this used to be a place where hundreds of people gathered and waited to sail off into paradise. Now, proms and weddings are being held here.
I've got Christmas parties, I've got weddings, I've got most all of the senior proms in March and April of next year. I've got 3 or 4 Mardi Gras balls.
That's right, the city's multi-million-dollar cruise terminal is now being used as an entertainment facility. The city spent millions to build this terminal, and now we're throwing proms.
It's just something we're having to do in the interim.
It's being reused is a good thing, but obviously it needs to have some really heavy foot traffic in there to make it work.
Well, Bess Rich was not a member of the council back in 2004 when the cruise terminal was built. Would you ever voted to approve that?
It's hard to say because I can't criticize, colleagues or past colleagues, and it's just, we're dealt this hand right now. While it was functional, everybody was happy, so we want to hope someday that it gets back to being functional, but right now it's an unused resource that costs the community money.
Well, the city continues its efforts to seek out a new cruise liner to fill this empty space. But in the meantime, Gorganis says the parties will continue. That is, until her ship finally comes in.
It's just persevering and trying to make it while I'm waiting and being patient on my ship.
Right now, do you see it as government waste?
It's an unfortunate turn of events, very unfortunate, and the citizens are left having to pay that note.
Well, Rich says at some point, sooner rather than later, the city must find a more substantial use for the cruise terminal. There have been all sorts of ideas tossed around, perhaps a shopping venue or a restaurant that brings in a lot of traffic. Guys. Well, what has 11,000 seats sits at 80,000 square feet, and according to one council member, is bleeding cash. One city leader believes the Mobile Civic Center is a relic that should be torn to the ground. Another says the building serves a greater purpose for the benefit of the overall community. Watch this special report and you decide. The Jacksons brought their Triumph Tour to what was then known as the Mobile Municipal Auditorium back in 1981. The King made the ladies swoon when he performed 6 times here from 1970 to 1977. And in May of 1973, rock band Led Zeppelin brought down the stage to a sold-out crowd at Municipal Auditorium. Well, as they say, those were the good old days. Here are a few quick facts you probably didn't know. The city of Mobile broke ground on what was then known as the Municipal Auditorium back in 1962. The facility opened in July of 1964. Construction costs, a cool $10 million. Well, a lot has changed in nearly 50 years. Nowadays, you'll find the Mobile Civic Center draws in a much slimmer crowd. Thousands pack inside for various balls during Mardi Gras season every year. Parents line up for tickets when the circus comes to town. College graduations are often held here. And would you believe, church functions? Yes, even a funeral held right here at the Mobile Civic Center. Well, it might also surprise you to know the city shells out just over $1 million every year for funding for the Mobile Civic Center.
We actually have a deficit over there sometime of about $800,000, but $600,000 is the power bill.
We need it, but on the other hand, it's costing us a lot of money.
Civic Center, I've said 7 years ago, needs to go.
City Councilman John Williams says the $1 million spent on the Civic Center could be put to better use. This year, city leaders battled for 10 months over a multi-million-dollar financial deficit and whether to pass a 1-cent sales tax increase. Williams told Local 15 News the city could generate millions by dumping some of its properties, starting with the Mobile Civic Center.
It's going to be an expensive endeavor to tear down, but let's let somebody that buys the place determine what they do with it.
It's just like saying, I need to tear my house down. And my question to you would be, where are you going to live? If we're going to tear it down, have something to put up equal or better.
First of all, the Civic Center was not built to make a profit on operations. It was built to generate economic impact into the community.
And Mayor Jones says that's something you can't put a price tag on. In the past year, 279 events, including Mardi Gras, were held at the Mobile Civic Center. Nearly 200,000 people, some who traveled from all over the country, attended those events. Those folks no doubt ate at Mobile's finest restaurants and spent several nights in local hotels. We'll add in the sales and lodging tax the city raked in, and the mayor says you get the big picture.
If we tore down the Civic Center today, we would save $148,000 a year and lose $32 million in economic impact. And we would not be able to bring the amenities into this city that our citizens enjoy. I don't think you're going to go to any of our surrounding areas that have Civic Center and they come and tell you, oh, we made a huge profit last year.
Chocolate festivals, hair shows, boxing matches all took place here at the Civic Center this year alone. The problem is, most of you didn't know anything about it.
I think they're going to need to do a better job in getting out to the public exactly what they're doing. They are very busy.
So the question still remains, is the Mobile Civic Center profitable for the city? Well, that answer changes depending on who you ask. Mayor Sam Jones says the facility adds to the overall economic impact for the city. Some council members say the facility is bleeding money, and at least 2 of them have their own ideas about what should happen to this historic facility.
I would like us to, one, correct the size, correct the air conditioning system, correct the flaws over there so that the city isn't paying out a whole lot more money than what we're putting into it.
I believe that we could give it to the Mardi Gras Association and we could save ourselves a cool $1 million this year and every year from now on.
We are not really of the opinion that the Mardi Gras Association could afford to upkeep the Civic Center and still do what they do. We can't make a profit off it. They can't make a profit off it either.
And speaking of the future of the Mobile Civic Center, Mayor Jones says in the past he's been approached by a key investor to develop the property.
Right before the downturn of the economy, we thought we really had a deal. This would be a major development, probably retail, condos, all that combined, which would really enhance the inner city as a whole. I think that the investment we make in keeping that venue at a point where we can be competitive is well worth the investment.
Well, Mayor Jones says if the Civic Center was torn down today, the city would still need a facility of that size to keep up with tourism. Guys.